Hi there, my name is Yamariam Taylor, and welcome to School Dayz, a podcast that tells stories of higher education journeys in Sierra Leone. When young people get accepted to study at higher education institutions, they usually have very high expectations, higher teaching and learning standards, the hostel's experience, and generally a more empowering student life. But these expectations are usually met with very harsh realities. I can relate to this. When I enrolled at Fourah College to study mass communication a few years ago, my expectations were so high. They were over the roof, man. I looked forward to so many things. But like me, a lot of students start their higher education journeys on a very disappointing note, as their expectations do not match the reality on campus. In this episode of School Dayz, we will hear from present and past students of Fourah College and the University of Makeni, who will tell us all about their expectations versus their reality. My first stop will be Fourah College, which sits on the glorious Mount Orel, where I will meet Claude, first-year engineering student, and Juliet, a lawyer who graduated from Fourah College some years ago. I'm currently standing at Model Junction to board a bike to Fourah College. Every morning, students queue at this junction to get transport to Fourah College. Imagine waking up 6 a.m., rushing to get transport for a class at 9 a.m. It is really difficult and exhausting. I've just arrived at Fourah College, and I'm standing at a place called the airport. It is opposite the mass communication department. As you can hear the honking of bikes and cars, it is a busy area compared to the old days when this place was a lot quieter. You know what? I'll take a walk to the amphitheater to meet Juliet and Claude. We're going to have a conversation about their expectations when they came to Fourah College. We are sitting at the amphitheater with Claude and Juliet. It's quiet. The sunset is beautiful. I noticed something. The place is a bit populated compared to before. And it seems that there's a lot of deforestation going on. So let's get down to our discussion. Welcome, Juliet and Claude. Thank you for joining us today on the School Dayz podcast.
Thank you very much, Marian, for having me. I'm quite excited to be here.
You're so welcome.
Thank you for having us. I'm not excited to be here.
Oh, okay. What's going on?
A lot is going on.
Okay. Would you mind sharing?
Where will I start? I don't even know. Let me start with the classes.
Okay.
Because that's the number one priority.
Okay.
We are supposed to be having lectures at full flesh.
Okay.
According to our timetable, we are supposed to have sometimes like Monday from 9 to 5.
Okay.
And sometimes from 8 to 5.
Okay.
But that is not happening.
So you are not getting effective classes like you were expecting. Yeah. Can you share with us your expectations coming to Fourah College?
Coming to FBC, the Citadel of Learning, I was expecting greater things, but I'm receiving quite the opposite of what I was expecting.
Mm-hmm. That is quite interesting. But hold on, let me bring in Juliet. Juliet, can you share with us your expectations during the time you were admitted at the Fourah College University?
Actually, my expectations started way before I was admitted. I remember being in Form 3 and I had my aunties and uncles who were students.
That
at
long
Fourah
ago?
College.
Form
That long
3?
ago, Form 3, yes.
Wow.
And they just had this thing wherein when they get home, one of the things my aunt would say, Fourah College sweets, and they would just talk about those daily experiences. And the 14, 15-year-old me wanted to have that experience, you know.
I
And
know.
so I thought my experience was going to be seamless. Lo and behold, registration started. And I had to miss quite a lot of classes to get myself as a registered student of Fourah College. And it felt so frustrating. You know, I was ending my teenage years. I had just gotten from school. We didn't have this experience in school. And then you can't meet a situation where you get for spend your whole day in a line. And I assure you, you go spend like 2 or 3 days in that line day to get yourself registered. Registration alone was my wake-up call to the reality of what I was going to experience.
So that was a reality check.
That was
for
a
you.
reality check. That was where I went like, what? It was actually quite frustrating. I remember my first year in college, there was this whole fuel strike struggles. So a few times we had to work from Model to Fourah College. And then there was a few strikes with lecturers, well, in terms of payment of their fees, and they were asking for increase. And so we had to stay off classes for about a month. We lost 1 month of classes, and obviously I didn't expect that.
Yeah. So Claude, so Juliet mentioned her expectations, and one of her reality checks was the registration. It was time consuming and it was really, really difficult. What was your experience?
Well, my own experience in the registration process was easier because after receiving your acceptance to your portal, when you pay your fees completely, they will give you a link which you will access to your portal and you have registered. So it was not that.
Yeah, that didn't add to the
Yeah,
stress
to
you're
the
having
stress
right
I'm
now.
having now.
Okay. Can you tell us more about your time? What is going on?
Well, there is one thing that we are suffering, one overpopulation.
Okay.
We are told since we began class that we are going to be separated by groups.
How many are you in a class?
The list is 411, I'm sure, 411.
Okay.
Those that have paid fully and have registered.
Okay.
So these 400 will be separated by groups, 2 groups.
Okay.
These 2 groups, let me say, if we have physics like Monday and Wednesday, Monday group, let me say from 8 to OK, we take Monday class, Monday lectures. And the L to Z, we take Wednesday lectures, which should not happen like that because we're supposed to have physics, let me say, if it is 4 hours in a week, now we have we have cut off 2 hours from the 4 hours that we are supposed to have
Okay.
because of overpopulation.
Juliet, was it like that during your time?
It was very similar. I remember when we were in the first year having foundation studies. Foundation studies was a class. We had 2 sets of classes for it. One was departmental foundation studies, and then we had the whole of maybe the faculty, wherein we met at amphitheater for our class. But the challenge that we had wasn't not just with the numbers. It was the fact that the lecturer did not have a microphone, and so he wouldn't speak loud enough for everyone to hear, which is understandable if you're in amphitheater. And you probably have up to 500 students that you're lecturing. And it wasn't as covered as it is now. So a lot of the time we were forced to be under the sun to take lectures, and so at some point a lot of people stopped taking classes. And then by the time we got to second year, wherein there was this thing with law department. If you cross second year without repeating, it was a big thing. Because by the time you get to second year, you have over 100 students repeating the year. We were overpopulated, and sometimes we found students standing by the windows to take classes.
That is bad.
It was that bad. I did not expect that. You're even afraid to express your dissatisfaction.
Exactly.
You cannot question lecturers, which obviously is something not that you're expected to be rude, but then I remember in one of these classes wherein the lecturer comes and then we would spend 5 hours, a student said, time, it was true. Time we had already spent over 4 hours, and it was a Saturday. And the lecturer took offense to it.
Yeah,
he was so mad.
You
and
shouldn't speak up.
We were all frightened because this is true, but then you cannot obviously speak up.
And you never had the opportunity to stay at the hostels.
Yes.
Why was that?
A year before we got admitted, they had closed down the hostels to say they were renovating it.
Okay.
I spent 5 years in this university, and not one time did we see a truck with cement to renovate the building. And honestly, that is one of the major expectations I had. And whenever we have those conversations with those who were admitted before us, that was the core of their experience, being a resident at Fourah College.
Well, I thought I was lucky because I met the hostel accommodation. But now, the female hostel is full. They are transferring female students to male hostels.
No way.
Where they are vacating us presently, blockage, they said it is meant for final year students, year 3 students, senior students. Now, since many final year students don't take hostels, so there are some spaces there. So what they said now they will do to us, we are going to pay by 3. We are supposed to pay 2
in a room.
Now they have breached, in fact, an agreement or a contract that was made between we and the hostels management.
And you paid in full.
In full. In fact, they have given us the room. 2 of us should find another person that we trust to join us.
Wow.
In our new place.
We've been talking, and the both of you have shared your reality versus your expectations. It's not pleasant. The same thing happened to me while I was studying here. It was really, really difficult. Before we wrap up, Claude, do you think that the administration is doing anything to meet your expectation, especially as a freshman?
Well, even the day of our orientation, we are shown how to complain. We are told that if we have anything that is disturbing us, we should complain first to our class rep.
Okay.
Our class rep in turn will meet the HOD, and the HOD will take the class rep to the dean of faculty.
Okay.
If the dean of faculty cannot solve our problem, we take it to the administration. So that's what we have done. So we are just waiting for results, and maybe results will be coming out soon.
But nothing has been done yet.
Yet.
Juliet, during your time, do you think that the administration was making any efforts to meet your expectations?
Not at all. Because the same experiences that I had in 2012 when I got admission and started my first registration, I had till my last registration. But also not just the registration aspect. When you're done, you have this process that you have to go through for graduation. No, that was extremely stressful. And I spent 5 years in this university. And my experiences in terms of the administration was the same when it came to how they interacted with us, their attitude towards us. Not for once did I spot a difference between how we were treated in the first year. The administration was not taking anything into consideration because there was no changes made in the 5 years that I've spent in the university.
It's been great talking to you guys, Juliet and Claude. Thank you for sharing your experiences with us. It's dark now, and the beautiful sunset is gone. I can hear the crickets. Whew, I'm so tired. It's been a long day. That was a lot to take in. Have you ever expected salad and they serve you dry rice? Like, seriously, that's the feeling I'm getting here. But a lot of us can resonate. Like me. I remember when I started classes. The way you race to class to find a seat, because obviously the seats were inadequate for the number of students. This is a true portrayal of what students have gone through and are still going through. You're listening to School Dayz, an Engage Salon podcast that brings you the experience of people in their pursuit of higher education in Sierra Leone. Did you do higher education in Sierra Leone? What were your expectations when you got accepted into a college or university? Did the reality meet your expectations? Send us an email, podcast@engagesalon.org. Later, we will hear from the authorities how they manage students' expectations. But before that, we will hear from Abubakarr Kamara, who attended the University of Makeni, UNIMAC, in northern Sierra Leone. He lives in Lunge, where he runs a computer business. Lunge sits at the northwestern part of Sierra Leone. This area is considered the international gateway of Sierra Leone. I didn't go over to Lunge, but my producer, Maria Tukaba, did. She sat down with Abubakarr to hear about his expectations and reality he found at UNIMAC.
Hello, Abubakarr. How are you?
I'm fine.
Good. I can see. So here is your computer shop.
This is a computer shop where we do computer solutions,
Okay.
like building websites, doing database for clients, and also training youths on basic computer.
Amazing. Wow, I can see you're already practicalizing that which you've studied at UNIMAC. So, how is life in Lunge? Basically, what's fun? I know say una de block for tuna. It's a good sea view there. Yana at the airport day. So, yeah, tell me more about something exciting.
Specifically, life is good in Lunge because we are moving on gradually. There is life, then we are healthy.
Amazing. So you left all the way Lunge to Makeni to go and study at UNIMAC. So the moment you gain admission, when UNIMAC notified you that Abubakarr, yes, your result is good, we are offering you a space. What were those thoughts running through? What were those expectations?
I think the day I gained admission from University of Makeni is one of my happiest day.
I can imagine.
Yes, because I sat to the West African examinations, I think thrice.
3 times?
Yes.
Wow.
And there were lots of expectation, really. Of course, before I gained admission at the University of Makeni, so I've been following the trend of the university, what they are doing, especially the students they sent in law school. That particular year did very well. So I was kind of following with this trend. Then I thought this might be a kind of university that will create that platform for me to actually gain what I want. So I went to their website, tried to do some kind of research about them. Then I made to understand they have information technology department, presently computer science department. At first it was called information technology department. So I saw the kind of stuff they are doing. They are doing well. They have a equipped lab. They have lecturers from India. So I was expecting exactly what they were selling out, saying we have well-equipped lab, lecturers, we are there, doing well.
Yeah.
So I went to the university. I think few things were absent.
Okay.
Few things.
Okay, what were those?
They were saying we have a number of Indian lecturers, lecturers from India.
International lecturers.
International lecturers.
Yes.
But when I went to the university, I saw only one.
One.
So instead of lecturers, I met only a lecturer from India.
Okay.
And he was the head of department. He was doing great, actually. Very good in this computer programming area. So then the other aspect is they were saying they have a well-equipped lab. So the lab was there, but not knowing that university was going through a lot of constraints, trying to fix up the computer science lab.
Equipment.
Yeah, the equipment and other things. So these were my expectations, but when I went to the university at Makeni,
Your reality did not match.
did not match. But the good thing about the department, they were committed lecturers from Sierra Leone. So they did their best to see how they can fix all of these problems, to see that the students coming to acquire knowledge at the department, they actually have what they are there for. I was expecting 100% of what we have to do
Okay.
will be available.
Available.
Yes.
Okay. So Abubakarr, we've been talking. Well, my colleague Yamariam has been talking to other past students from other universities, for example, FBC.
Yeah.
So some of the expectations, like you say now, did not match to their reality.
Yeah.
They mentioned challenges around overcrowding, lecturers' lack of commitment, and also things around transportation, also accommodation problem, etc. Are any of this familiar to what you went through back then?
Sincerely, the University of Makeni has not been a crowded university.
Okay.
They have a minimum number of students, which they think they will take care of and acquire the knowledge they are there for.
Okay.
And I am not talking of the present because I am out of the system.
It's your
Yes.
experience.
So University of Makeni has not been a crowded university. And we are doing well to see that they curtail the number of students coming into university, especially screening them through entrance exams and other procedures. And the commitment of lecturers, I can say they are doing well because the University of Makeni is operating like a secondary school. They teach,
how is
they
that?
don't lecture.
They don't lecture. So
They teach.
let me figure out the difference now.
Yes.
So
For many universities in Sierra Leone, when lecturers go to the university, they talk less, give pamphlets, send notes online, communicate to students through email and other social media platforms. And this is a different thing when it comes to University of Makeni.
okay.
Lecturers go to the classroom. If it is possible for them to take chalk, they use chalk to write on board. They have whiteboards. Sometimes they use markers to communicate to students. So they teach. They actually don't rely on giving pamphlets, sending notes online. They teach.
So Abubakarr, mark over 10. Let's say your expectation versus your reality. Let's mark over 10. Where are you at?
My expectations and reality at the University of Makeni, I can say 8 over 10.
8 over 10. That is close to perfection.
Yes.
I think, based on your personal experience, the Unimark has been doing well.
Yes.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Abubakarr, for sharing. It's been wonderful having you.
Former student of the University of Makeni, Abubakarr Kamara. From the interview, we had a lot of differences between Abubakar's expectations and reality at Unimark and Claude or Juliet at Fourah College. They're definitely not the same. Naturally, you want to hear how the authorities manage students' expectations and whether they work to meet the high expectations of their new students. So, I spoke to James Tamba Lebbie, an administrator at the University of Sierra Leone, and a person who has also spent a considerable part of his adulthood studying and working at Fourah College. Thank you, Mr. Lebbie, for joining us.
Thank you, Miriam. It's a pleasure.
You're welcome. How are you today? I know you've had a long day.
Yeah, it's been a long day. Worked at Fourah College in the morning, up to noon, went to Comas, and from there I came here at the Independent Media Commission, where I also sit on the board as a commissioner representing the Sierra Leone Association of Journalists. Challenging, but also interesting.
That's a lot for a whole day.
Yes.
Anyway, before we begin, Mr. Lebbie, when did you leave Fourah College as a student?
Well, I graduated in 2006 and I've been working there.
Wow, 2006. That's 17 years ago.
Yes, and interestingly, I've not worked for any entity in this world except the University of Sierra Leone.
That university definitely owes you a lot. I mean, you have changed a lot of people. I'm sure you have left a positive impact.
Well, when I see you around, I smile because you're also one of my products. There are many people around also too. So I have every reason to smile because I'm contributing my little quota to human capital development.
I would like you to share with us a bit of your university experience as a student back then.
Quite interesting. So actually, I have 2 periods when I attended Fourah College. I was part of the old system in the sense that I came to Fourah College when Mass Comm was just a diploma program.
Oh, wow.
That was 1996, 1997 academic year. And then we were there when former President James Tamba was overthrown by the AFRC. And then there was a 9-month interregnum that disrupted the academic year. And then eventually President Tamba was restored. It was interesting, it was challenging, it was a mixed. In the initial stage, when I was doing my diploma, I wasn't qualified for housing because I wasn't doing a degree program. So the name was, when you go to somebody and stay and squat in somebody's room, it was called a gorilla. So I was a gorilla, quote unquote. But eventually, when I came to pursue the degree program, I was entitled to a room, and then I had a room. Campus life was very interesting. Back days, we had what we call, quote unquote, the FBC perfume.
And what is that?
There was that aura and that air of arrogance, that air of accomplishment that you've been accepted at Fourah College. And in terms of social life, and I could remember when we were going back for holidays. It was very memorable. Back then, we had student union boss who would take students back to the respective towns and cities. And it was a sense of pride. And then the ladies were waiting for us because we attended Fourah College. It was a pride to be at Fourah College, among other colleges.
So we're moving on now to student expectations. Usually, what can be the expectations of students as they're coming in?
Of course, university students come to college, they expect accommodation, free accommodation.
Yeah.
They don't want to struggle to get to class. They want to go to class when they have their module periods and to get to class and get teachers to teach them. So I will not say it is an unrealistic expectation. The reality is that the university is grappling to match reality with expectation because of the funding is just inadequate. And there is pressure on the university to accommodate more than its capacity. Now, what has happened is that over the past few years, there has been a quantum leap in enrollment of students, and they are now in the year where they have to take public exams to go to the university. So the number of students who are passing the exams to go to public university is increasing dramatically. And the resources at the universities are not enough to absorb those number of students. But then you have a situation wherein the university has no option but to take as much as they can, because they are under pressure to accept them because they have fulfilled the criteria and they are eligible for admission. So in the event, the university's resources are overstretched. So I will not dismiss the expectation of the students.
So you mentioned inadequate funding. What about the fees that is being paid by students? What is the university using it for? Especially now that the university is admitting a lot of students compared to before.
The reality is that most of the students don't pay fees. That is one. Two, about 70% of the student population are on SLG, Sierra Leone Grant in Aid. Now, these SLG students, they will come to college and with SLG, so which means they are not going to pay. And those monies are not being paid to the university. From 2014-2015 academic year to date, no money has come to the university in respect of SLG. And the remaining students that are on self-sponsorship, only about 30% of them end up paying fees. So which means the university doesn't have the required funds, the requisite funds to undertake development activities. They are busy with survival in terms of taking care of their overheads, their day-to-day expenses, including paying wages and salaries.
With all those challenges that you have mentioned, what is the university doing to move past that? Are they taking deliberate actions to solve these issues? Because every single day, students are complaining.
No, the administration is not complacent. So over the couple of years, they've been thinking out of the box. The strategy is to become less reliant on public funding and to look at ways of generating fund. One way is slight adjustments on charges in line with the inflation and the cost of living also. But just recently, the university has launched what is called the University Endowment Fund. The University Endowment Fund is a basket fund launched and targeting alumni of the university, corporate entities, foundations, and individuals. It is hoped, and there are signs that is happening now, that people will contribute to that fund, especially alumnus like you people who have benefited from that college, whatever little you can, to contribute to that fund. And at the end of the day, whilst the university will be relying on tuition fees for overhead expenditure, funds from that endowment fund will be used for development and expansion.
Is there another way out? Is there a backup plan for the university administration to curb all these issues?
Well, yeah, we have the traditional source of funding for the university is fees, and the university is devising better ways of ensuring that students pay fees through the introduction of the portal system, like it's happening now at IPAM and COMAS. The challenge is at Fourah College. Now, with the introduction of the portal system, students are going to be compelled to pay fees because it means grades and attendance, lecture notes will be issued through the learning portal system. So that's one. Two, the administration is working on increasing its portfolio on research grants, research and publication. It's another source of funding, but it's low, and the university is working to increase that portfolio so that it will be a viable source of funding. So at the end of the day, we will have the traditional sources of government subvention and fees, but in addition to that, we also will have the endowment fund, and then we'll have research grants. So those two, hopefully, with the passage of time, will contribute to enabling the administration to undertake some of its development projects and programs.
Brilliant initiatives, and we hope that things will start to upgrade in the long run. Thank you, Mr. Lebbie, for joining us on the School Dayz podcast, and this is it for today.
My pleasure talking to you.
Well, that's it from me, and thank you for listening to the second episode of our School Dayz podcast. I am Mariam Taylor. My able producer has been Mariato Kaba. School Dayz is an Engage Salon podcast. You can find it wherever you get your podcast. Follow us at Engage Salon on social media. We also welcome your comments and questions. Send us an email, podcast@engagesalon.org, or send a message on social media. Thank you.